This is how to build around Amon-Ra St. Brown in fantasy football. Amon-Ra St. Brown's one of the safest and highest upside picks in the first round. In fact, wherever you get him, 5, 6, 7, 8, wherever in that first round, probably the best pick of the entire first round because he's missed 2 games over the past 2 seasons, and he's a guy that plays every game, played through injuries last season, was the wide receiver 7 2 seasons ago. He's poised for another elite year. And on Sleeper, we can look at his snap share, one of the highest snap shares of any receiver in the NFL, in the 90s, most games, right? Like, look at the consistent fantasy points. One game, he had 5 fantasy points. That's it. Every other game was like 18 plus, 30 fantasy points, 20 fantasy points. And this is last season. Missed a game. If he had played one more game, if he didn't miss that one game last season, he could have finished as the wide receiver 2 instead of wide receiver 3. Now, these are the guys probably available in the second round, at least on Sleeper. I know Yahoo fantasy drafts are a little bit different. Same with ESPN mock drafts. I would take over ETN, Derrick Henry, one of them, right? Like Derrick Henry or ETN, you got to get an RB1 in the second round there. Stay away from Adams, Olave, because it's tougher to get an elite running back for your RB1 if you don't take one in this round, if you're taking a receiver in the first round. You could also double up on running back, get Pacheco, but I prefer to go receiver here. You go Jalen Waddle, a guy that was the wide receiver 7 just 2 seasons ago. Yes, with Tyreek Hill, they can coexist, and I think he's going to finish as the top 10 wide receiver this year. He was hurt last year. I know he screwed a lot of people over last season, but I think this is the year he has a comeback season, is elite in fantasy. Round 4, you can go DK Metcalf, Cooper Kupp, whoever falls to you there, another elite receiver. I like taking receivers, at least 3 out of the first 4 picks. That's always my rule. Running backs, there is some depth in round 7 or 8 with Samir White. Gus Edwards in round 10, Tyjae Spears round 10. Guys like that you can get later. I like having elite wide receivers because the talent drops off completely past the 6th round in fantasy football. Like I mentioned, in round 5, this is where you could go an RB2 with Ken Walker, right? Like that'd be a great pick. You could also keep going on receiver and have one of the best cores, if not the best core in your fantasy football league with a Christian Kirk, or you can get a tight end like Dalton Kincaid, Kyle Pitts, George Kittle. You could wait till Ferguson a few rounds later. There's certainly a lot of options here in a ton of ways to build your team. I like to go with Ken Walker here and get a really good RB2 and then get Samir White a few rounds later to get to the depth at the running back position. So let's say we go with Ken Walker there and we have 2 running backs that are really good and we have 3 elite wide receivers, no quarterback, no tight end yet. Like I mentioned, Jake Ferguson a few picks later or Brock Bowers, whichever. I think Bowers gets more target share than people think. I think he's going to be implemented in the offense and more than people think, even though that's going to be one of the most run-heavy offenses in the NFL. Get that depth at the running back position with Samir White or, a Raheem Mostert. Get an RB3 before round 10. Make sure you do that. And the reason why we don't take a quarterback early is because you can get great value quarterbacks later on, like Jordan Love in round 8, Kyler Murray round 9, Brock Purdy round 10, Caleb Williams round 10, Trevor Lawrence round 12, 13. Guys like around 12, 11, 12. You can get value in a lot of places here. So we wait on a quarterback. We take the tight end either there or we wait a little more. We get more RB depth, and then we get the wide receiver steals late. Dontavian Wicks, Troy Franklin, Xavier Legette, even Jacoby Myers, Josh Palmer, guys like that. And you can always get, if you're weak at running back and you go wide receiver, like you go Christian Kirk there instead of Ken Walker, like I mentioned in round 5. You can take Tyrone Tracy Jr., who's going at like 181 ADP, and I think he's the RB1 for the New York Giants by week 8. So let me know what you guys think in the comments, and make sure you follow for more fantasy football content. Check out Autograph, link in my bio, code Deutsch, and my fantasy football guide is out now, also link in my bio.